Hello. Hey, thank you so much for listening. This is the Rogue Cell, second of the 503rd podcast, produced by Together with Veterans, Northwest Oregon. And we are here in beautiful Astoria, and we're doing a bonus podcast.
That's right. Content. February 17th this year is National Caregivers Day. In honor of this, we're interviewing my favorite caregiver, my wife, April. She is my VA caregiver, and I want to say thank you on behalf of both Sean and I for joining us on this bonus episode of our podcast.
Yeah, totally happy to be here.
And thank you for this great coffee.
Yeah, I worked really hard on it. I put water on coffee grounds.
Well, it's good.
I'll give you the recipe later.
So, April, what is the VA Caregiver program?
So the VA Caregiver program is to support the caregivers of veterans, because caregiving is a function that a lot of military spouses provide for their veteran spouse. But unfortunately, we don't get paid for that. And then we have to run our lives on top of that. So what the caregiver support program does is it tries to help ease the burden of being a caregiver to a veteran.
Okay. And I have a question. Is that a compensated position?
It can be. You have to meet certain requirements. If you go to caregiver.va.gov, it's going to have all of the eligibility requirements. Just some highlights of it. You need to be at least 18. You need to be a spouse, a son, like a family member, and you need to live with your veteran full time. And then it also depends on your veteran's disability rating, on whether you even qualify, and then also what they need help with. So there's a lot of things that you got to kind of check out, but the people there are there to help you, step you through the program.
So what are some of the personal care services that a caregiver may provide?
They look at each individual veteran, but in general, they're looking at, are you helping to support their health and well-being? Are you helping with everyday personal needs? Like, does your veteran need help with feeding and bathing, getting dressed, mobility? And then also the environment that your veteran is in. Are you helping with safety and protection, or instructions on how to get them through their day? You can apply, and if you meet certain requirements, then there's also financial assistance that they can give you.
My wife works at a place called Virtue on the Point, and she works with veterans who are disabled veterans, but also that they have like different needs, alcohol and drug use and all kinds of stuff. But she is just one part of a whole team that help these veterans out. You're pretty much the whole team.
I'm it.
Yeah. I mean, how is that? And, I have that question, but also, as a veteran who I really have a hard time with PTSD still, because it's not something you can just get over. But,
right.
But I was blown up, but I don't really, I might limp every once in a while and have some aches and pains. But one of the problems that I have, and I want to see what you guys have, is like when somebody's like, you're a disabled vet, you look fine.
Yeah.
You get looked up and down, and they're trying to figure out if you've got a prosthesis under a pant leg or something.
Yeah, it's kind of like a stigma if you're not physically injured and you say you're a disabled vet. I don't know, how's that go?
It's hard sometimes for me to call myself a disabled vet.
Right. We still haven't really figured out what the kind of like press release to the stranger statement should be, because
so you guys have to have one then, or you have to have some prepared, or you just make stuff up, I guess.
Well, it seems like it usually starts with somebody asking me, what do I do? And I don't want to say, well, I'm retired, because
you're pretty open and honest about all of it.
No, I don't want to say that, because technically that's true. It's a medical retirement. I have a disability. You're right, Sean. We do need to be straightforward with it, which I am. Usually it turns into I just point at my head and say it's all here.
Well, it's like there's no in between. So either we're going to have a 2-hour conversation about what we do and what the diagnosis is and how we're doing today, or you kind of get a dismissive answer. We haven't figured out that in between statement on Brad as a disabled vet.
So as a background, I've diagnosed with bipolar type schizoaffective, PTSD, OCD, and ADHD for mental health. I also have a few physical diagnoses, but those aren't nearly as relevant to my proper care and
I know that they've come a long ways, but I feel like, just reading through it, that just the term schizo or schizophrenic is kind of like where they put everything. I mean, is it different now today?
It's improved quite a bit, because it used to be that schizophrenia had 5 subtypes.
Mm-hmm.
And now they've eliminated all these subtypes. Some of them have been known as being something else, but it's all lumped in as just schizophrenia now. There's no.
So when you say that,
then
that people are like, well, little voices are telling you to do stuff, right? People just assume that. But that's not the case.
Honestly, the most common question I get is, oh, you have multiple personalities, which is a completely different disorder.
Like, you've always known that the visual and auditory hallucinations that you're having are not real. But
no, not always.
Not knowing that they're not real doesn't make them go away.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest part that we had when we first started. You know, you first became symptomatic, Brad, is that all of my education came from Hollywood. Everything that I knew about mental illness and how Brad should be treated, because I thought all you got to do is go to talk therapy and you talk about your deepest, darkest things, and then it just goes away, right? And then you like skip off into the sunset. And so when that didn't happen for us, it was like a really slow kind of like dawning on my side that this is a chronic medical condition. It's not a temporary situation.
And that's what I was really interested in on this. You guys were married before the worst of it was happening, and your relationship must have changed over the years because of it.
Yes, very much. Yeah. It's very different.
You know, it's kind of, I won't say funny. That's a terrible word in situations like this. But there was one point in my military career where it was a different relationship than what we're at now, too. When I was in command, we had 2 kids in diapers.
Well, in case anybody hadn't heard our other podcast, you were an officer in the Army.
I'd like to think a good one, too.
Active duty
for 15 years.
Well, when we first got married, that was when we were dating, actually. That was a conversation Brad had. Like, he was like, this is my path. I'm an Army officer. This is going to be my career. If you want to be with me, this is what you're signing up for. Because he was so passionate about what he was doing in the Army, and he got so much personal satisfaction and validity from that. It was never on our radar that he wasn't going to be able to finish his time in service. So I went from thinking that I was going to spend our married life as an officer's wife, which
15 years. I mean, you were a major at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was retired, I was at 15 years. I was about 5 years service when April and I met.
Yeah. So it made the transition to, from being an officer's wife and kind of taking a back seat in a lot of ways, because Brad's career was the one that we were focusing on supporting.
You had to pick up and go everywhere he was sent to go.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so then I had to make the switch once he became symptomatic to, it's no longer, Brad making all the decisions. It's no longer, Brad steering the ship. I had to take back all of that. And
yeah, what was that process like? That must have been very difficult. Or maybe you always wanted to do it. I couldn't imagine how it would be.
No, I mean, if I'm being honest, when we first got married, we were even like, do we even want to have kids? We were going to travel. We were going to just be you and me against the world and chase adventure.
And then 40 weeks later.
And then, and then we got pregnant right away. And our daughter is amazing. And then she was 4 months old and we got pregnant with our son. And he is fantastic. And
April said, these things take time. I don't understand. And I told her not with 40 weeks.
So it's not just that Brad becoming symptomatic has changed it. Like, our entire marriage has changed many times because we got married, we set our vows, we thought we were looking at a particular path together, and then boom, boom, we got kids. And so now it's like, okay, well, I'll be the stay-at-home spouse because childcare is so expensive, and we'll support your career. And then we got settled into that, and then Brad started becoming symptomatic.
Well, before that, your cancer came back.
Right. We had to finish fighting cancer.
Your chemo when I was in command.
Yeah. But that didn't really change the direction of our marriage so much.
The direction was the same.
I mean, it was, I mean, not to be like dark, but it was, the cancer was, I was either going to beat it or not. You know, there wasn't a huge change in our marriage because of that. I don't think.
That was dark.
It was dark, but that's, I mean,
it was a dark time.
Then all of a sudden, like, Brad's becoming symptomatic. And so we're trying to figure out what's going on with Brad.
Must have been heartbreaking for you to.
Was it all of a sudden or was it gradual, do you think?
Both. And that's what's so confusing about it. Because it was, you know, we got PCS back to Fort Leavenworth and all the stress of the move and the stress of command and all these things that we had been blaming the fact that, you know, Brad couldn't sleep and Brad was really paranoid and we were just, he's just really stressed out. We need to just get to our next location. But we got to our next location and it didn't go away. And then so in a different setting, it really highlighted there's something going on with Brad. And so we started reaching out. At first, the idea that it was a mental health issue never crossed our mind.
Nope.
So we're going to the doctor and we're like, he can't breathe. So they're checking his lungs, or like, you know, his stomach is in knots all the time. So we were having him scoped and doing all these things. And then I remember
even surgeries.
Yeah. And then we exhausted all of that and you were getting worse. And I remember having to set you down and say, you need to go to the mental health clinic.
And that has to be, that's a huge stigma for someone in command to have to go to a mental health clinic.
Yeah. Now this was after my command.
All right. Well, still at that rank, you don't want to hear that.
No, you don't. And
you were still wanting to continue with your service. Like you were.
Oh yeah. At that point
we were talking Lieutenant Colonel.
Mark to retirement.
We were talking Lieutenant Colonel. Yeah.
Yeah.
And how to get you there. That was really hard. So that was like a big step. And then Brad started going to the mental health clinic. And it took a really long time to get him properly diagnosed.
It never happened at that clinic.
But after that moment, when he started going to the mental health clinic, I started taking things back out of our dynamic because he was so overwhelmed all the time. So I was like, well, I can take over managing our finances. I can take over all these. That's a big one, yeah. Yeah, like I can start taking back all these things so that you can just manage your stress level and figure out what's going on.
And what our audience doesn't know is with finances, I am obsessed with spreadsheets.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love to make them. I love watching how the numbers work.
Yeah. Do you remember the time?
It was very hard to give up spreadsheets.
Oh, do you remember the time when you wanted to buy a motorcycle and you made like a spreadsheet and a PowerPoint presentation?
And I was, you know, what I got later on?
A motorcycle?
A motorcycle.
No, so what I did, Sean, is I sat down and I looked at how like well prepared and how excited he was for this. And I was like, I don't even know what it is. If I just say yes, do I have to sit through the presentation? And he was like, you do. And I was like, all right.
Because it was a good one.
Because it was a daily spreadsheet presentation thing in our house.
We mentioned the OCD earlier. It might be numbers related.
Yeah. But so anyway, I was getting up because Brad still had PT and stuff. And so.
That's physical training for people who don't know.
So I was getting up and we would have a cup of coffee at like 4 a.m. and talk about what was coming up for the day, trying to help him war game it. And it was Halloween. And I remember this so clearly. Jack was in preschool. Elise was in kindergarten, and I got him off to work. Everything looked the same to me. Looking back now, I saw nothing different about that day. And then a couple hours later, Brad calls me from the mental health clinic, and
it finally went. Wow.
It just, I didn't see the signs, but he was suicidal, and he went into an inpatient program, and that was when everything changed. That moment.
And that's really a point of no return. You're not going to do that and then like go back to your commanding officer like, nope, I'm good.
I was sure my career was over at that point.
Yeah, that had to be a huge weight on you. Like, I can't do this because if I do, then I'm going to lose everything that I've built for.
It was actually the opposite for me because this wasn't my first stop into a mental health clinic. It was probably my 70th going to see mental health and
not saying that you were
for help.
Yeah, but not using
the right words.
Not using the right words. This is something that really frustrates me about the way that the mental health system is set up right now, is that you have to say that you are a threat to yourself or a threat to others in order to get a slot in an inpatient program.
And that's not unique to the military. That's throughout at least this entire country.
And there has been times when I have had to just fight so hard to get Brad a slot in an inpatient program, when he's become so paranoid that he can't even leave the house and he's having visual hallucinations and he really needs to be somewhere so that he can stabilize, but he's not saying that he's going to harm himself. And so we would go to the ER and then get sent home. And it's so frustrating, which is why I had to learn to become as a caregiver, I had to really educate myself on way more than what Brad needs, but like his condition in general, so I could advocate for him.
Well, and that's what, goes into our list of questions. It doesn't seem like you need to spoon food to his face.
No.
It doesn't seem like you need to dress him in the morning, which I'm sure there are caregivers that do have to do that.
Yes.
You're going to have to do that as we're traveling the state.
There you go. It's an airplane.
We prefer to do it birdie style,
So what do you do?
So Brad has trouble seeing the steps of things. So if I'm not here telling him, it's time to eat. So for example, if I told Brad, I need you to go do a load of laundry, to you and me, we can see all the steps through doing that load of laundry until it's put away and it's clean. But Brad doesn't see the steps and things. So I have to be like, can you go get the laundry from the bedroom and put it in the washing machine? And then I have to circle around later and say, can you move that to the dryer? Now, can you take that from the dryer and fold it? And
that's some of the disorganized thinking from the schizophrenia.
Yeah. And so you take that and you apply it to all the things in your life. And so what I do is I provide safety and structure in his life, and then also make sure that he also takes his meds and he, remembers to take a shower. And then in addition to that, I provide him with just stability in an environment that that's unsafe. So to you. Yeah. So in a world where you can't trust what you hear and you can't trust what you see, how do you know what's real and what's not?
Yeah, that's tough.
Yeah. And so they call it proximity reassurance and reality mapping. I've heard it both ways.
That sounds like the VA's been giving you training, right? I mean, what do they provide? So
you have to pass and become a certified caregiver, which the training is free. I have to redo it every year. So I do have to learn all the things like changing catheters and things that don't relate to Brad. But it's basically the VA recognizing that your disabled vet needs a caregiver and they're allowing you the opportunity to be that for them. But you have to be a certified caregiver. So
So you have to get certified. If not, I mean, so if you didn't want to do that and you had a career to do it, then somebody come to your house to do it, or would he just have to go inpatient? I mean, would you be able to do it if it wasn't a career for you?
If I had to work full time outside of the home, because Brad is not able to work outside of the home, the stability that you see today and that, Brad as, it's all because we have set this foundation. And if we deviate from it too far, he becomes symptomatic.
It comes down a lot to just, in one word, stress. And we do everything that we can to insulate me from being stressed.
Stress, schedule, consistency.
Yeah.
All those things.
And I get that to an extent because I do some projects. I'm a disabled vet, PTSD. And people are like, hey, you seem like you're pretty functional. You're doing some good stuff. I'm like, well, tell you what, if my life wasn't set up the way it is, I would be locked back in my room, pissing into milk jugs, not leaving.
Yeah.
And that's how I was at the beginning, just stressed out, never sleeping, drinking to self-medicate. It's just a mess, but because of how the VA has taken care of me, can't talk for you guys, I'm able to actually function. And I think me helping other people helps me out too. So that's why the reason I volunteer to do this type of stuff.
Yeah. And I love what you guys are doing here, because when we were going through this, all we saw was the worst case scenarios.
That's all you see on TV.
That's all you see on TV. And when you research it, you don't see yourself in any of the stories. Mm-hmm. So I didn't find any stories of somebody with a chronic mental illness that was also a good father, that was also a good husband. They don't make
those movies.
They don't.
No.
If they did, it'd be starring Tom Hanks.
I think based on your appearance,
even cases like
I think Tobey Maguire for you.
You think so?
Yeah.
Grow a beard? I don't think you can grow a beard.
You don't think he can?
No.
Yeah. I would have to shave for that for long enough to be recognized. But even like the story of John Nash in A Beautiful Mind.
Yeah.
That was highly fictionalized. My understanding is he didn't have hallucinations that were visual at all.
Mm-hmm.
But to make it a Hollywood movie, they had to stereotype it.
Well, mm-hmm. I know in my case, if you see a veteran with PTSD in the first act, in the third act, he's usually shooting somebody or himself.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
And so that's it. They don't make those movies where you know what? I got my shit together. This is awesome. I can actually do something.
I'll throw a plug out for a movie I watched recently that I really loved.
What was it?
Dog.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Channing Tatum.
Yeah. Did you see that one?
I have not. I don't watch Channing Tatum movies, but maybe I'll start.
Maybe you should.
Magic Mike XL's coming out.
And not only is there not success stories really out there, but if you find anything, it is focused on the veteran. There is nothing out there showing you how you're supposed to do this new job that is constantly moving every day, and nobody is defining for you what you're even supposed to be doing. Mm-hmm. It's just make the situation better for Brad. And that's a huge, wide, vague thing. And so that's why I'm so glad that you guys are doing this, because there needs to be more people out there giving some hope and direction.
I hope that's what we're doing. I think we want to be the guys that and behave in such a way and be in such a way where that's what we needed when we were in trouble. All right, these guys aren't too hua, but they are vets and they want to connect, and they I think they went through something similar to what I went through, hopefully, and we can make it out of this really dark time. Let's do it. And so I hope that's what we're doing.
Yeah. In rural communities, or now to whoever listens to our podcast.
We talked about how it changed your relationship, but I don't want to get too far into it and the rehash it stuff, but I just keep thinking you were a commander of men.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And now all of a sudden you have to be dependent on somebody else to just get through the day. And that's got to be a very difficult thing. And it's got to be heartbreaking to watch as well.
It's heartbreaking, and I mean, if I can make it about me a little bit, was.
Well, this is your show.
It was.
It's not National Brad Day tomorrow.
It's not. It's not.
That was a couple of weeks ago.
It was really, really exhausting, because there was just one of your questions was, is this a part-time or a full-time job? And the answer is that it's both. Some days I can just hit kind of like the key things in the day, and then Brad's good to go and he can go out. There's some days when I can't even go to the bathroom without him needing to be in the same room with me. And so, it was, for me, it was just exhausting, because I still have to raise our kids. I still have all these other commitments.
And you have your own life too.
Yeah. Which, I mean, my life became being a caregiver. Mm-hmm. And so it's just now that I'm being able to kind of get some of that, or try and get some of that back outside of that role. Now that you
built that foundation, but that foundation has taken years to build,
It's taken years.
It's taken a long time.
Yeah.
All the way back to when we were in California before I was retired. It's when you started building it.
Yeah. And, if I can say one thing, if there's people listening who have a caregiver in their life that they want to support, the thing that would help me the most is just show up and be me for a couple hours. So show up, play a board game with Brad, and let me go on the back deck and just have a cup of coffee, or show up and cook dinner and make it where I can go and take a nap. Like I didn't need the huge things during that time. I needed somebody to just show up and be like, whatever you have happening for these next 2 hours, I'm on it. And you can emotionally detach.
Yeah, you got to have time for yourself too, right?
Yeah. And that's something that I just never got, because you're almost always on call. Even if I'm in the other room watching a movie or something, Brad and I had to set up this boundary of being like, okay, I'm going to go watch this movie. It's an hour and a half. And I know you're going to feel uncomfortable, but if you don't need something, if nobody is on fire, don't open that door. Because I counted one time and it was like over 30 times that I was pausing my movie.
An hour and a half movie.
To be like, what do you need? And it was never an emergency.
That's no exaggeration.
No, it was never an emergency. It was, oh, hey, I want you to see this picture of this puppy. But it wasn't about that. It was like, I feel uncomfortable and you're the place I go to for reassurance. And so.
And it could have been any of a host of symptoms I was experiencing at the time.
That's, as a caregiver, I would say that's what I would have really liked for people, because they give you this like, well, if we can help, but they're asking for something big. You know what I mean? Like, do the small things and let me emotionally check out.
It takes a team of people to do it at, the inpatient places. And that's really tough. You have the social workers, you have the people who feed them, you have people that do their schedules, you have like people that do events with them. I would come in and volunteer and do like writing groups and stuff, but like you're doing it all yourself.
Yeah.
And that's gotta be tough. And I know we can't make a movie about the success that you guys are having, at least right now, but at least this podcast could be something, hopefully, to somebody.
Yeah.
We're talking about.
I would consider us to be successful. You're the most stable that you've been since I became symptomatic.
Yeah, since California.
And so you're able to start reaching out, making your support network bigger than just me.
What's really helped is I started forcing myself to talk with neighbors across the street. They eventually became really good friends and part of my support network. But what has helped me lately more than anything, other than you, is I've reached out to veterans organizations in the area. It started with a vet breakfast that my therapist encouraged me to go to.
Because as much as I want to support you, I'm never going to quite get it like another veteran will.
Well, not only that, but your table can't just have one leg.
Right.
You gotta have a couple legs to the table.
That's a unit table.
It's not going to work unless I can stab it deep enough to the ground to cement it. But, that's not a good metaphor.
You've been talking about how other people can support a caregiver. What do you do for self-care?
So I promise I'm not saying everything is a tricky answer, but that's a tricky answer.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
Because when you look, the self-care is so important. And for me personally, I got out of the habit of people asking me, how are you doing? I just got back from this amazing cruise. Everybody asked how Brad was doing and wanted to understand his condition. And there was a lot of compassion there. And so after I've been talking to people like 45 minutes, then they're like, oh, and how are you doing? And so I got out of the practice of asking, how am I doing? Because it wasn't going to change. I could be like, I am broken and tired and exhausted, and I got to get up and do it anyway. And so when it came to self-care, I did all the things that you're supposed to do in the books. Like I took a bath, I took a walk, I read a book. I did all the things that when you look at articles about self-care, and it still just wasn't restorative enough. So I think when it comes to self-care, first and foremost, I would encourage other caregivers to not put off asking themselves how are they doing, because you do get so lost and overwhelmed. And then on top of that, I think you have to realize that the things that you found to be restorative before you became a caregiver aren't necessarily going to nourish you after. And so an example of that is me getting up and working out before everybody gets up in the day. I hates it. I don't love it. Every single morning I wake up and I'm just like, not today. But
April has never been a morning person.
I have never been a morning person. And 5 a.m. just hurts every single day. But that's something that I've had to realize that is my self-care. That isn't necessarily something that I want, but it's something I need.
So what I'm learning here is like when you become a caregiver, your job seems like it is just, hey, take care of this person. But what it really is don't lose yourself in the job. Take care of yourself as well.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a huge part of it.
The caregiver support program is designed to support the caregivers.
Mm-hmm. They're there to have like in-person meetings for support meetings, but you can also do virtual support meetings, and just like veterans connecting with veterans, you guys get each other's stories in a deeper way. Caregivers get the caregiving game. There's definitely their support through the caregiver program, even if you are not past the requirements for the financial help. There's resources there for every caregiver.
So my psychotherapist explained it to me when we were getting into the program, that it was a great program. The VA absolutely loves it because it takes good care of the veterans, of their families, and it saves them a lot of money. So veterans in the caregiver program are having less nurse visits to their houses. They're making less appointments because their needs are getting taken care of. It's a great program all around.
It really is. Yeah. It really is. And it's allowed us to put that brick in the foundation to be where we're at today. So if we didn't have that, I would need to go work outside of the home. And in doing that, that renews part of the stability for Brad, and then everything else would slowly start to regress.
Right.
So it's a really important part of Brad being stable.
So yeah, a lot of people come down on the VA for a lot of different things. And I understand it's a huge bureaucracy, but they really do help out a lot.
Our experience has been really positive.
I personally want to thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
I often
feel like a third wheel right now.
Yeah, you're a third wheel right there.
Get out of
here. I know absolutely I wouldn't be where I am today without you.
Thank you.
Well, I wouldn't be here
or
either,
my parents,
because you guys wouldn't have this house. But
yeah, Sean wouldn't be here. But I wouldn't be here also if it wasn't for Sean. He's the one that roped me into this podcast.
Yeah,
I think it's doing great. I love this project. It's great.
But thank you for being here with us
thank
today.
you so much.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I think that is how we got through it, is that we're a team. And now this team member needs to go on a trip to Bali. I don't know if I talked to you about that.
You did.
Yeah. Okay.
You just went to Germany.
But there's elephants.
There are elephants. I think she has a point.
Thank you for joining us. This has been Brad and Sean with the second of the 503rd Rogue Cell,
the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Together with Veterans Northwest Oregon, or the Oregon Firearm Safety Coalition, or the Department of Veterans Affairs. You can find us at roguecell.vet or facebook.com/groups/roguecell. If you or a loved one is experiencing thoughts of suicide, help is available. Please call 988 and press 1 for veterans. This line is answered 24/7, so there is always someone to help. And with help comes hope, and hope saves lives. The second of the 503rd Rogue Cell is produced by Brad Peitzig with support from Together with Veterans, and is hosted by Sean Davis. Music provided by Michael Dean Dameron. Thank you for joining us.